Now, if we look at the economic risks that are out there for 2026, and let's look at each one of these individually. The first is policy volatility. And you see here, tariffs have fluctuated since they were first implemented in April of last year. And the effective rate rose from 2% to 25%, then fell to 17%. And then, of course, just recently, we saw the Supreme Court say that the tariffs were illegal and strike them down. And then, of course, immediately the federal government put out new tariffs of 10% and saying that they're going to take them to 15%. Now, I would argue that it's less about actually what the tariff is, but about the volatility of those tariffs. Because in a high volatility environment, it's very hard for businesses to actually predict what their business is going to look like going forward. And that creates that lack of stability makes it hard for people to actually take action. Now, in addition to that, in the last 6 months, we've had two government shutdowns. There's been radical changes, right, at the CFPB, the CDA, the EPA, the National Institute of Health, which raises questions around the persistence of the changes in future administrations, right? And we're seeing this, right, where one administration implements one set of policies and one set of regulations only to have the next administration change it, which all adds up to difficult planning. Now, if we look at the weakening labor market, right? Hiring has slowed across the economy with the exception of healthcare. AI is likely slowing hiring due to efficiency. AI is likely slowing hiring due to efficiency gains in cognitive work. And the companies are shifting spending to AI and away from other core business lines, which may impact hiring and actually layoffs. So high interest rates also reduce what businesses are willing to invest and will cause hiring to slow down. Now, in addition to that, this AI market, is there going to be a correction in 2026? Look at the capital expenditures now being called into question, right? There's 394 billion has been invested in AI. Now, by the way, the math on profitability of these data centers that they're investing in have actually been called into question due to the excessive construction costs and the maintenance costs. And the challenge that we have, I mean, right, we talk about, oh, the stock markets are up, they're in record territory. However, you understand that all of that growth in the stock market is actually controlled by only 7 companies. In fact, if you were to take away those 7 companies, the stock market would actually be in negative territory. So again, something to be concerned about is we have a tremendous amount of the wealth of our economy is tied up in a handful of companies. And if anything were to go wrong, now that puts the entire economy at risk, and not just the US economy, by the way, that would impact the global economy as well. Now, inflation, right? So that's another concern we have, right? Tariffs have put upward pressure on prices, and if they escalate, we could see additional inflation. And then, by the way, upward movement in prices could result in interest rates remaining elevated or even having to be increased in order to try and tame that, which again keeps that inflationary market we're in. And then, of course, the other side of it is the geopolitical conflict, right? It's the active military engagements that are going on right now. There's the conflict in Ukraine, diplomatic tensions without traditional allies, and then territorial disputes, which actually could escalate in Asia. All of those things, right, are risks. And again, something that we need to be aware of as we try and plan for our year going forward. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe and join us as we continue to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, and lives worth living.